Countdown to Halloween 2023, featuring eerie and uncanny tales of haunts, ghosts, and suspense. October is finally here. Join us all month for special Halloween presentations on Storylink Radio's YouTube channel as we count down to Halloween 2023. Keep a close eye on YouTube alerts or you'll miss one. Celebrate October with us right here and now. Tonight's presentation from Storylink Radio. Green Thumb. Where are you going, young lady? Mrs. Guerrero held up her hand as Leia headed for the door. I'm going with Dad. They're judging the entries for the tomato growing contest today. I want to get a look at the competition, so he's going to drive me to the fairgrounds earlier. Your mother shook her head. You know very well you're going to win that contest. It's just like you have for the past 3 years, darling. Well, I hope so. The girl raced to the kitchen door and grabbed a home-baked muffin as she sped by. It was still warm from the oven. Leia scrambled in the passenger seat of her dad's red pickup. All set, hon? He grinned. Leia nodded, her mouth full of food. After using that special soil mixture you've worked up, your tomatoes this year are going to be better than ever. Her father pulled the truck out of the driveway onto a narrow dirt road that led to the highway. Yeah, I know that the soil mixture really did work well, Dad, but I think I've come up with a few things to make the plants grow even bigger and faster. I've added them to the old compost pit behind the stone wall at the far side of the house. Is that okay? I don't see why not, hon. No one ever goes back there anyway. Mr. Guerrero turned the pickup truck onto the main highway. Now, the following morning, Leia was up bright and early. First, she put out a bowl of milk for Jake, her orange and white striped kitten. Meow. And then she proudly added her new blue ribbon to the others displayed in the glass cabinet in the living room. Later, she and her mom cleared a large patch near the barn for pumpkins. Pumpkins! Yay! Leia spread a thick layer of her newest special soil mixture over the area and worked it thoroughly with a hoe. After lunch, she rode her bike to the store to pick up some things for her mom. Hi, Leia. Mr. Warden, the grocer, looked up as she came in. Your order's ready. I have something for you here. He handed her a magazine. This came in a pack of seed catalogs, the only ones. I think it was a mistake. Anyway, here you go. It's about exotic plants. You might find something special in it for your garden, Leia. Gee, thanks, Mr. Warden. Leia slipped the gift into her grocery sack. When she got home, she curled up on her favorite window seat with the magazine. Jake paddled gently along the sill and stretched out in the sun beside her. A small ad in the back page caught Leia's attention. What's this? She said to herself. The kitten looked up as if waiting for her to say something more. Guaranteed to amaze. The world's most unusual vine only for the most accomplished of gardeners. Huh. Leia was intrigued and challenged. She filled out the little coupon provided and posted her order that very same day. Less than 1 week later, a small box addressed to Leia, simply marked Seeds, arrived in the mail. Makes me think of the Johnson Smith Company. Those were the days. Leia quickly ripped it open, the top from the packet and inside, and tapped a few light, dainty red seeds out into her hand. What are they? She asked aloud. The instruction of the packet just said to sow them near the surface and fertilize with bone meal. Leia got permission from her mom to plant the unusual seeds in a part of the area they had cleared for the pumpkin patch. Within 2 days, the first pale shoots showed themselves above the rich soil. Within a week, the plant was several inches high. Wow, Jake, she said to her kitten. Can you believe this? Leia crouched down beside the young plant and rubbed one of its bright green leaves. Long, slender tendrils curled out from the stem. I've never seen anything grow so fast, except maybe you. Jake wasn't particularly interested, though. He discovered a small hole in the ground and was busily trying to excavate whatever had made it. Leia straightened up and looked at her chubby kitten. He turned his attention to a cricket, slapping at it with his paw. One well-placed blow stunned the insect. Good boy. You keep trying. I hope you turn out to be a natural ratter. You'll have plenty to keep you busy if you do. Leia headed for the house, then stopped short. Had she heard a soft sigh? It must have been the wind, she said. Or maybe one of those timbers from down in the mine. Well. Behind her, a thread-like plant tendril snaked out and wrapped tightly around the motionless cricket. Jake laid his ears back, bared his teeth, and hissed at the slender stalk drag the tiny body of the cricket into the soil. You know, why do I feel a on-the-fly edit coming up and don't feel so good for Jake. Well, I guess we'll see what happens, huh? During the summer, Leia usually slept with her window open. She liked to fall asleep listening to the sounds of the night. One evening, just as she was drifting off, she heard a strange but familiar sound. Opening her eyes wide, she listened carefully. It was a soft, wistful sigh, almost a moan. Where had she heard that before? Rising quietly, she crossed to the open window and tried to peer into the dark. A sharp squeal pierced the night, then another. Both came from the garden. Once again, everything was still. It sounds like rats, she said under her breath. Jake must be on the prowl. From then on, Leia heard the fearful squeals every night. Each day she tended her peculiar plant, which seemed to grow more lush by the hour. The barn wall was nearly covered with long, twining tendrils. Trumpet-shaped, blood-red flowers covered much of it, and she counted 8 long, gnarly seed pods hanging from the highest vines. One morning she decided to add more of the treated miracle soil she had come up with from her compost pit around the plant's roots. Leia's mind was not on her work, however, as she dug her hands into the ground. She was worried about Jake. He hadn't shown up for breakfast. See, I knew it. Leia had already planned to search for Jake when she felt a slight sting. Yanking her hands away from the thick, dark brown earth, she watched as a tiny droplet of blood formed at the tip of one finger. Dang it! I should have been wearing gloves, she mumbled, wondering what might have caused the small cut. Looking down, she noticed that the end of a single root protruded just above the soil. The pale greenish point was smeared with a tiny bit of blood. Leia touched it lightly. It was sharp. Suddenly the root seemed to quiver, and it moved slightly toward the blood on her cut finger. She drew back her hand and jumped up. I think I've been working in the sun too long. I'm letting my imagination play tricks on me. Wow, that treated soil of yours certainly speeds up the growth, her mom commented over dinner that night. I used just a little on my azaleas, and I could swear they shot up a foot in less than a week. I can't imagine what an entire potful would do. It's certainly done wonders for your new plant, too. I don't think I've ever seen such a healthy vine. Yeah, thanks, Mom, Leia responded, but she was still a little troubled. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something evil about that strange vine. Her dad added, I think our little Jake deserves a round of applause, too. He's turned out to be quite a ratter. I haven't laid eyes on a single rat in the barn for more than a week. By the way, where is Jake? I don't know, Dad. I haven't seen him since yesterday. I looked for him all afternoon. Leia was worried. That's odd, her father mused. Come to think of it, a lot of our pets have been reported missing lately. Liz Burson told me her boy's pet goat wandered off a couple days ago, and they haven't seen it since. Her mom patted Leia's hand. Oh, I'm sure Jake's all right, honey. Cats can take care of themselves. He'll be back. I hope so, Mom, Leia murmured. When Jake didn't show up the next morning for breakfast, Leia was certain something was wrong. She decided to look for him once again in the barn. They had no livestock, so the barn was used mainly for storage. It was a perfect hiding place for rodents and thus an ideal hunting ground for a clever cat. The old wooden door screeched as she entered the cool, dark building. The only other sound was that of her own footsteps on the hard-packed earth. Jake, come on, where are you, boy? There was no response. Her dad was right. No rats anywhere. In fact, there seemed to be no insects either. Nothing living except scanning the base of the wall, she saw dozens of curling green tendrils growing in through the cracks in the boards. In the darkened corner, one strand was wrapped so tightly around something she couldn't quite make out what it was. She walked to the spot and nudged the vine with her foot. The limp tail of a very dead rat protruded from within the coil. Leia felt the hair rise on the back of her neck, and there, near the body of the rat, was Jake's empty blue collar. She edged out of the barn and backed into the garden. As she moved near the vine, she felt something lightly touch her leg. Jake? Lifting back a wide leaf, she was horrified to see a thick plant tendril shoot out and twine around her leg, tightening all the while. Dad! Dad! She screamed with all her might. In no time, her parents were beside her. It's attacking me! Get it off! Get it off! Her father quickly sliced through the stem with a pocket knife. Leia, what happened? Calm down. The plant, Dad. It's the reason there are no rats. It got Jake, too. I just know it did. Her mother stroked her hair. That's not possible, dear. It's only a plant. You just got tangled in it somehow. If it worries you, we'll dig it up. And burn it with a flamethrower? If that'll make you feel better, honey. Within the hour, Mr. Guerrero had unearthed the plant. When he came into the house, he smelled slightly of smoke. Did you burn it, Dad? Yes, honey. I don't have a flamethrower, but I burned every leaf, every flower, and all those weird seed pods, too. He decided it was best not to tell Leia about the collection of small bones he had uncovered at its roots. That night, Leia lay awake in her room, straining to hear the dreaded sound. Her parents had already gone to bed when she heard it, but it was not where she expected. The noise came from, well, not from the garden near the barn, but from the far side of the house. Beyond the stone wall, about 30 yards away, the area where she had so carefully tended her large pit of specially treated soil. Jake? She sat up. Maybe Jake really is okay. Maybe he just ran away and now he's come home. Slipping on her pair of slippers, Leia crept downstairs to the kitchen. She reached for a flashlight that hung near the door and stepped outside. It was a dark, moonless night. She pointed the flashlight toward the sound to light her path. All the while she softly called, Here, kitty. Here, Jake. Come on, boy. Pebbles scattered as Leia climbed over the crumbling stone wall on the far side of the house. A gentle sound, barely more than a moan, made her freeze in her tracks. Stunned, she lifted the flashlight's beam, illuminated a huge vine that was part of a gigantic plant. It grew directly from the pit of special soil and covered the entire wall. Before Leia could open her mouth to scream, a slim tendril slid around her throat. Its leaves covered her face. The flashlight clattered to the ground. The flashlight's beam of light slowly faded as dawn approached. A gentle breeze rustled the strong, healthy vine growing in the shadows. At its crown, a long, gnarly seed pod suddenly split open, just as one had a few days before on the parent plant. The breeze lifted the small red seeds in the pod and carried them aloft, scattering them in every direction. See, Jake's fine. You've just heard tonight's story from Storylink Radio's Countdown to Halloween 2023. Remember to come back for our next tale. Many more stories of all genres available to listen to and read along with now on our website at www.storylinkradio.com. Visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/storylinkradio. And visit our podcast for easy mobile listening anywhere, anytime. Just search for Storylink Radio on your favorite podcast provider. Oh, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click that alert bell for Storylink Radio.